What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Welcome to a special edition of All In with Nate. I was going to do it yesterday, but I had no voice. I still really don't have a good voice right now. Of course, y'all know I was at the game yesterday, but I got to go ahead and knock it out, give my sound off about what I thought about yesterday's game. Of course, the Falcons lost the opener 18-10 to drop to 0-1 to start this 2024 season. That is a highly anticipated season by the Falcons. And offensively, they dropped the ball. First thing first, I have to be the first one to say it. I know that coaches, staff do not respect the whole preseason thing. It's time to be real about this thing. The lack of preseason reps showed yesterday. It showed its rear end because the offense barely clicked. We didn't even have the ball 25 minutes. For a team that invested big money on Kirk Cousins, you said this is going to be one of your better offenses that we've seen in years, and they showed absolutely nothing. We had one touchdown. We basically lost off of 6 field goals. Three of those field goals came off of goofy Falcon turnovers, which I'll talk about with that too. For one, Kirk Cousins do not look ready. For a person coming off an ACL injury, he does not like a person that is 100% healthy. And even if he is, we have a major problem. Because no disrespect to the Steelers, that is one of the better defensive units in the league. TJ Watt had his way in that second half, by the way. Of course, I'll get into that. But Kirk Cousins, who I'm used to being a more aggressive passer, showed me nothing yesterday. He showed me absolutely nothing. It was a combination of things. Kirk Cousins threw 2 awful interceptions. The first one, nobody was even in the vicinity when he threw that pick. Just easily threw it away. The second one was in the fourth quarter, under pressure, just threw it up. I expect that from a rookie, not a 13-year veteran with $180 million on the books. Not expecting that from him. That was embarrassing. And it's an ugly look for your franchise quarterback to make those goofy mistakes. Also, the Falcons could have took a decent lead in the third quarter. We had a big fourth down conversion you all probably remember, which was, I believe, Bijan. By the way, they got Bijan going early, but then they started to shy away from going to Bijan. It became really basic. You were seeing a ton of pistol, which I don't understand why we were in pistol 95% of the game. That is not the scheme that we need to be in. Not with a quarterback like Kirk Cousins. And if he's not 100%, he don't need to be on the field. But we was in pistol a lot yesterday. I did not like that. Also, another thing, let's see what's going on, Aaron. He said, I hate the pistols. Yes, I do too. I hated that pistol offense yesterday. I thought it was absolutely ugly the way we played. And then you don't have a play action game going. So by the time the third quarter hit, Mike Tomlin and that veteran coaching staff adjusted. Hey, Kirk's not under the center. They're in pistol. They're in shotgun or anything that's not lining up under center. By the way, Drew Dalman had a horrible game. Drew Dalman was a big part of that fumble in the early third quarter, which ended up turning into a Pittsburgh field goal drive. Again, costly offensive mistakes cost that game big time for us. And then Kirk Cousins, you didn't see Kirk Cousins trying anything down the field. It wasn't like receivers weren't open. Kyle Pitts didn't see a scheme for him. Partially, it could be part of Kyle Pitts. Could be partially the scheme. Kyle Pitts didn't really get much action. They didn't even look Drake London way much in the game. It looked like they looked like a preseason, like they didn't have preseason reps. And that's why I say you don't have to have a full preseason. Just give me something. Plain and simple. Just give me a drive or two. Let me see that you know what you're doing. Because what we came into yesterday was embarrassing. Especially when you put that type of money into your offense. It makes no sense. the way they looked yesterday. That was bad. And that was a game that the Falcons honestly needed because let's be honest, the next two games are against the two-time Super Bowl champions in 2 weeks in Atlanta, and then you got Philadelphia, whose offense looked stellar week 1, excuse me. You're going on Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football, and you have an offensive problem. I do not like it. Let me get some of these questions real quick. What's up, bro? I didn't see any throws. No, there was not a lot. There wasn't any throws past 15 yards. You are correct. I didn't see any throws past 15 yards either. And he also said it looked like they were running Arthur Smith's offense was, if Arthur Smith's offense was basic, I don't know what that was yesterday. That was vanilla on Zach Robinson. He looked like a guy who had his first time coaching on an offense. It was bad. I was not a fan of it at all. Deontay King, what's going on, bro? He said Kirk did a stupid interception towards 3. He had some terrible throws. He had some very bad throws. And he had one on the first drive that could have been picked off as well. But he didn't. But thankfully, they dropped it. Kirk could have threw 4 picks yesterday. He did not look ready. And I'm going to be honest with you. And we're going to keep it a buck. Yes, he got paid $180 million. But when you draft a quarterback at 8, you don't have a strong leash on you if you're going to continue to play this type of football. If it doesn't change, Michael Penix Jr. will hit that field sooner than later. Again, they don't plan on having him be this quarterback this year, but you can't go into a situation like that, how he had yesterday. But get some more of these questions. Defense play. Yes, the defense was on the field for 35 minutes. I don't know if y'all seen the stat line. The defense was on the field for 35 minutes. That's embarrassing. It also speaks to how solid they played, considering they barely was off the field. Like Justin Simmons, I think he played good. He's getting in the groove of playing with this team. Jesse Bates is Jesse Bates. By the way, let me also mention this as far as the defense. Not sure how everybody else feel. Nate Lamb should start over Troy Anderson. I get it. Troy Anderson is a speed guy at linebacker. Nate Lamb fits this team, the defense, better than Troy Anderson right now. I honestly am ready to give up on the Troy Anderson experience. We'll see what happens as the season goes along. But again, I honestly think that Nate Lamb is the better guy at linebacker. Caden Ellis had 9 tackles. Of course, Caden Ellis solid. Also on the line, Judon did get a half a sack with Grady Jarrett, who absolutely had a great game. He didn't look like he had an injury at all yesterday. But Judon, I think Judon's going to get better and better as the season goes on. The one flaw on this team yesterday was A.J. Terrell. Don't get me wrong, I like A.J. Terrell. I don't think that A.J. Terrell's a bad corner, but he's notorious for struggling with big receivers, i.e. Mike Evans. Yes, they were Pickens. He might struggle with A.J. Brown next week. So that got to tighten up, and it got to tighten up quick. Because, honestly, Fields rolled up, threw the ball deep, completion. That was like 3 of their drives, a George Pickens completion. They didn't feed it to nobody else. They tried to get Cordero Patterson going. No. Najee was actually having a decent game, but again, he kept trying to force it with other players. Didn't work. But again, the Falcon defense held. When you only give up 18 points, 6 field goals, 9 times out of 10, a competent offense is supposed to win that ball game for you. You don't supposed to lose a game like that. So it looks bad on that Falcon offense right now. Let's see, hit some of these comments. We're already 0-3. Honestly, I don't have high hopes for the next 2 weeks. Of course, I'll be at the Chiefs game week 3, but I don't have high hopes for them. Yeah, we got Philly next Monday Night Football. Defense did okay. Yeah, I was just referencing that. Yes, we got beat by a kicker. And by the way, for Pittsburgh fans, let me throw this out here too. Falcon fans, Pittsburgh had a big crowd out there. There probably was 60-40 Falcons. But again, the crowd didn't get going until the Steelers start stepping up, making plays. When we start having those goofy turnovers, that's when the Pittsburgh crowd got into it. But again, you knew Pittsburgh crowd was going to show up. That's one of the best fan bases in the league. And then, of course, coming to Atlanta, in a city that is this type of city it is, we got our fans that are selling them tickets for, let's be honest, my ticket was like $300 a seat if I were to sell. But why am I going to sell when I go to the games and have a stadium full of Steelers fans that more than was already? My dad's a Steelers fan. So it was a lot of them out there, by the way. But yeah, their fans turn out for them. And it could be that way the next two home. Well, the Saints, the fans will show up against the Saints. We know that. But I don't know what the Chiefs crowd is going to look like. Who knows? We'll see. But let me get back to some of these comments. Jordan, what's up, bro? Yes, sir. Disappointing loss against the Steelers. Do I think Fields outplayed Kirk Cousins? I want to say no, but then again, he didn't. The one area I will say he outplayed him in was not turning the ball over. He used what he had limited. He was limited because Arthur Smith's offense is basic, but he did enough. And let me throw this out here too, by the way, because we got fans that that tends to do this. Do not let yesterday's result make you say the Falcons should have picked up Justin Fields. Justin Fields did nothing special. They won the game. But that is not a guy who I straight up am saying, this is my starting quarterback. If anything, the Penix pick makes more sense now because you don't know what you're going to get out of Kirk Cousins, which, by the way, as I mentioned back in March, I was cool with Kirk Cousins being a quarterback, but that's a 2-year deal. So everybody that keeps talking about the $180 million, trust me, this is a 2-year deal. He could be gone in 2 years. Believe me when I tell you that. Let me go to the rest of these comments. You said Pittsburgh starting week 5. Interesting. It really depends. Yeah, I think it depends on that Saints game as well. It definitely depends on those NFC South games. Shots, what's going on, Cuzzo? He said Grady Jarrett. Yes, he did. He had a great game. He didn't look like he had an ACL injury at all. He definitely. Now, that was the definition of being back off of an injury. Let's see. AJ Terrell needs to get some of our money back because the way I see it, we're going cornerback round 1 next year. I still think one of our top issues may be getting another young pass rusher, but we do need to get a corner of some sort this offseason. Absolutely. Pass John Abraham for most quarter. Yeah, Grady Jarrett did. I did see that before I came on here. That was definitely, I definitely agree with that. Let me see. The main thing is Fields. Yes, he didn't turn the ball over. That's what made his game look a lot better than it did. Pittsburgh fan base is, yes, they show up, and Dallas is going to come here in November. They'll show up big time too. Jay, what's going on? Jay said, Lord, have mercy, let Kirk get his legs on the under because obviously he didn't look healthy. Yeah, he was not healthy at all. And I think that's another thing that kind of I have an issue with Raheem Morris on that because this is why me and Jay have been talking about this actually in the comments since yesterday. This is why you need to play in preseason. Again, the 2-time Super Bowl champs, we seen Mahomes and company got there and play. If these are the 2-time Super Bowl champs, what makes you think you're that good so you don't have to play preseason games? We needed to see if Kirk Cousins didn't have it because 90% of the game, you could tell they was out of sync. Ray McLeod was getting open, but of course, you're out of sync. You're in pistol and shotgun. I didn't see a lot of eye form. There was times where they could have went play action in the game. We didn't see it because they were so busy in let's run the ball. Let's throw it underneath this Bijan. Let's line up 5 wide. And once TJ Watt started figuring that out, he had a field day. By the way, I don't know if they showed this on the national broadcast. TJ Watt got the crowd hype in the 3rd quarter. And after that, he went bonkers. He went absolutely bonkers. He he start getting that work in on Caleb McGrary, who you all know I'm not a fan of. Caleb struggles with good to elite pass rushers. He struggled with Brian Burns last year when he played for the Panthers. He's probably going to struggle. I don't know. I don't know who's Philly's pass rusher right now at the moment. But I'm trying to think who's Philly's. They don't have a Son Reddick anymore. Y'all had to help me with that one. But then you got Chris Jones in 2 weeks. So they better figure out a way to chip these guys. I mean, I sat there and watched TJ Watt just like, hey, Kyle Pitts going to go run a route. Somebody go run right around him. And he did. And thankfully, the officials bailed us out on 2 of them plays because TJ Watt was not offsides. And I'm saying this as a real Falcons fan that was watching the game in person. That man was not offsides. Thank you for that, because it could have been another fumble. Let's see. Curry said, I disagree because Fields is young and experienced and he's cheaper. The issue with Justin Fields is he need to go somewhere where somebody can teach him the game. And with Arthur Smith, that is not the person to teach him. You watch the situation with Desmond Ridder here. You watch the situation with Marcus Mariota here. He needs to go somewhere where he can learn the game. Yes, it is cheaper than $180 million. However, that's why we drafted a rookie. I still don't feel that he would have fit this offense for what it is. Yes, a mobile quarterback fits it, but not him. Vaughn Taylor said, I didn't see the game. How was the O-line? First half, they were good. Second half, they was atrocious. You could tell who went to the locker room and made adjustments. Absolutely. You can tell that. And like Jay said, they weren't cousins. Yes, they were. Both tackles struggled. And Drew Dahlman, I have always been against Drew Dahlman playing center. He don't need to be the center. They need to address these issues at some point in the next season. Because if Kirk Cousins get healthy and that's your quarterback 425, I mean, even for the rest of the season, these are issues that got to be fixed. Because I think already Kirk wasn't comfortable or confident, and then it made it worse once they start getting after. So at that point, he just like, forget it. I'm about to just throw it up. Jay also said that's the coach's fault, not his fault. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Now I think the Kirk moves out of. I'm not gonna say it's out of desperation because we needed a quarterback, but at the end of the day, we did need to get a quarterback. But if you were going to invest in a quarterback, you probably should. I know the money is what's making it look so bad because Kurt was signed the first day. So he got this standard contract. His agent is top tier finesser of all time, straight up. But of course, Kirk is still recovering from that injury. But again, it's on the coaching staff. If you know that your quarterback is not 100%, you got to find it out. But yeah, let me ask you this question. Yes, the receivers were definitely getting separation. Ray McLeod was getting open most of the game. Drake had his open routes, but I mean, I didn't like the play calling. I didn't like the play calling at all. I thought that overall, Jay even said that the receivers were getting open. Yes, they were. But I thought that the play calling was bad to the point where you couldn't really get any chemistry going. Then there was a couple times where the plays were open. Like, for example, what's his name? Dropped a third down. What's his name? Darnell Mooney. He dropped it on third and long down the seams. That was one of Kirk's best throws of the game. He dropped it. Who else? Ray McLeod actually had a good game. But again, you can't really get open when, hey, second half, Cam Hayward's shooting up the gap. J.J. Watt's having fun. Like, it's crazy what that man did in that second half. And that also speaks to where he is as one of the best guys in the league. Jay also said that receivers were open a lot, but they were out of sync. Yes, that absolutely. This is exactly what won and lost the game for the Falcons right here. The receivers definitely got open, but there was no chemistry. It was so out of sync. And I agree, because I was not big on Ray McLeod. I thought he was going to be a special teams returner, but he actually does have a lot of talent. Also, what Zach Robinson needs to do Zach Robinson needs to get it going with both Bijan and Tyler Algier. Yes, Bijan is your workhorse, but guess what? Algier is going to still get his 4 to 5 yards a pop. Give that man the ball. That's the reason that you have that stout offensive line that can run block, basically. You need to be able to run block for both of them. That'll open your offense up. Curry said, what went right? Yes, I totally agree. And another thing, they actually had Pittsburgh on their toes when they got it at no huddle. When they were no huddling, it started looking a little in sync. But when they were just trying to like go to the huddle and figure it out, it just did not work. It didn't work. But let me see if I can pull up. I want to see, can I pull up the highlights, some of the highlights from that game. But I do want to show the stat line real quick for the game yesterday. Bijan definitely got the ball yesterday, but they gotta spread the ball to Tyler Algier also. The one thing about it, if you got a workhorse, use him. That's the reality of the situation for the Falcons. But you got to use him when he's out there on the field. Let me share the stat line from yesterday. And excuse me, y'all, my voice is still shot. Of course, I was at the game yesterday. My voice is always gone at least a day or so after the game. But I'm going to scroll up because I was just looking at the stats before I came on here. From both sides, passing-wise, 17 of 23 for $156, no touchdowns. He had a QB rating of 43, rating of 91.9. Justin Fields didn't do a lot. He just did the basic stuff to win the game. As far as Kirk Cousins, 16 of 26, 155, a touchdown, those 2 interceptions, got sacked twice. It felt like it was more. And a QB rating of 59. He definitely have a good game. That is no question about it. He definitely got a good game. Didn't have a good game. He said, for the record, I think Tyler is a better back than Bijan. To not take anything away from Bijan, he's electric. But that's why I always say that it needs to be a balance of both of them. Because to me, because of how talented Bijan is, you don't have to force feed Bijan. You can also hand it off and let Tyler work, get 4 to 5 yards. So definitely. JD said overreaction to a lot of our fan base, and that Pittsburgh defense is underrated. I don't think nobody is taking away from Pittsburgh's defense being underrated. However, there were turnovers that were self-inflicted. I'm sorry. You don't throw in triple coverage in the fourth quarter for a pick. Yes, the pass rush was coming. Throw it away or take the sack. Plain and simple. That's a rookie mistake, not a veteran mistake. That fumble, bad exchange by Drew Dahlman, that's just an unfortunate moment in the game. But again, so you got to look at it from that perspective. The turnovers were the issue in this game. That's the problem. Again, you're right, with the receiver 6 yards behind him. But let me show the rushing total now. Yikes. Najee Harris was 20 of 70. Justin Fields was 14 of 57. Cordero Patterson was 4 of 13. These three, first of all, that's 41 carries. They only got 3 yards a pop on the ground, which shows you the Falcons defense actually played well. That was more ball control than anything. For the Falcons, Bijan had 18 for 68. Tyler had 3 freaking carries. He needs to get at least 6 to 7 a game. No questions asked. 6 to 7 carries a game he'd have for Tyler Algier. No questions with that. Look at the major difference in the rushing yards between the two sides of the field. Excuse me. Receiving wise, Ray McLeod led the team 4 for 52. George Pickens was 6 of 85. George Pickens was giving that work. He was giving that work to AJ Terrell. I love AJ Terrell, but he was giving that work to him. I'm sorry. He was. I also agree 10 to 15 carries. Pat Freiermuth had 4 for 27. Bijan also had 43 yards receiving. So he had a combine of 100 yards of total offensive yards. Kyle Pitts, 3 for 26. Darnell Mooney had 1 catch. Drake London had 3 total targets. That is not enough for your number 1 wide receiver. Not enough at all. And as you see on the other side, Van Jefferson had a catch. Darnell Washington had a 5-yard catch. So really nothing spectacular on neither side when it came to the passing yards. Justin Fields had a fumble, but he ended up recovering it. TJ Watt got a fumble recovery off the Drew Dahlman fumble. So that's where the fumbles loss came from. As you also see on the side, the attendance was 72,291. It was a packed, probably one of the more packed home games. A lot of it had to do with Pittsburgh fans showing out in droves. You know, their fan base supports. So that's another thing. Minkah Fitzpatrick led the Steelers in tackles. He had 7 total tackles. TJ Watt had a solo sack, 2 tackles for a loss, but he had 3 quarterback hits. He was getting back there without question. On the Falcons side, Caden Ellis led the team in tackles. Mike Hughes had 7. Nate Landman had 7. Troy Anderson had 6. We were on the field a lot, so that said a lot about it too. James Smith-Williams, shout out to him. He got a couple of solid tackles yesterday for losses. Judon had a quarterback and a half sack for a quarterback. Grady Jarrett, 3. He had 3 tackles. He had a sack and a half, 3 quarterback hits. He was back to himself. Let me go back to the questions. You think AJ Terrell's a CB2 or slot corner bus? Interesting. That's an interesting take right there. Who's the CB2? I want to say it is Mike Hughes or Clark Phillips. I think Clark Phillips may be CB3. So it may be Mike Hughes that is CB2 right now for the Falcons. But let's go to the rest of these. And of course, the interceptions, and go down to it. So Dante Jackson, I thought he was going to house that second pick that Kirk threw. And then Deshaun Elliott had that other interception. Raymond McLeod did have 1 nice kick return early in the game. I think it was probably to open the drive. He had a 29-yard kick return. So that was a good start for him. Avery Williams had a 28-yard run. That was the drive where we got deep into their territory and really couldn't do nothing with it. So the special teams guys did have a good showing as far as the returners. And of course, the guy of the game, Chris Boswell, 6 of 6. By the way, Chris Boswell is one of the best kickers in the league. That man, them were not some easy field goals. He was hitting from like 55 plus. So not easy field goals that he got, but again, as you see, these are some of the stats. Let me try to go to this team stats so I can show you guys like the difference in the stats as far as the 2 teams. Pittsburgh had 1 more first down than the Falcons. Pittsburgh was 8 of 17 on third down. The Falcons were atrocious, 2 of 9. Pittsburgh ran 66 plays. They had more yardage than us. Both had the same amount of drives. The Falcons actually had 4 more passing yards than the Steelers, which is not saying a lot. Both teams got set equally the same amount. Pittsburgh ran for more yardage. They had more penalties than the Falcons. They had the ball 11 minutes more than the Falcons. And, of course, the glaring number right there, the turnovers. 3-0. Both teams stayed within 30 yards. Yeah, they did. They definitely did. And the Falcons should have success against the Eagles pass game. That's going to be an interesting matchup for the Falcons in week 2. But those are the stats for the Falcons game. Again, a disappointing opening season loss. It doesn't get any easier. We have a Monday Night Football game at Philly next Monday night. It's on ESPN. Gonna be a treat to see how that game matches up. I think the Falcons defensively have a offensively runs into a better matchup against the Eagles than they did against the Steelers. Great pass rush. Just because the Eagles pass rush is not the same. So they're still kind of young in the season. However, it's going to be a challenge for the Falcons on defense. It's gonna be a challenge. I'm gonna be intrigued to see how do they game plan for AJ Brown against AJ Terrell. Who's gonna, slow down Saquon Barkley? That offense is going to be scary this season in Philadelphia. Devontae Smith could be the guy that's gonna be a problem next week because I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to double team AJ Brown a lot in that game. I can see it. Let me go to this. Which Falcon impressed you yesterday? Of course, Bijan was solid. Definitely was impressed with the new additions. Simmons played solid. He had a pass breakup. Judon, it did show on the stat line, but Judon definitely was not bad yesterday. Nate Landman played well. Grady Jarrett coming off an injury was very solid yesterday. Very impressed with Grady Jarrett. Ray McLeod definitely were probably the standout guy of the new additions. That dude was really solid. I think he's going to be a solid wide receiver 3 for the Falcons. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays the rest of this season. But I agree with y'all. Got to find a way to shut down or slow down Saquon. I agree with that. But I'm not going into that game really confident that the Falcons come out able to win, but we'll see. But wanted to hit a quick recap. Again, that was a rough game yesterday, especially for us that was at the game. We got a really tough schedule. The tough next 2 weeks before we play the Saints and the Bucks. They got both of those games at home. But let's see how they fare in our first primetime game. First of 4 primetime games this season. I want to say it's 4. Yes, 4. So the first 4 primetime games coming up next Monday night on ESPN. Hopefully, DirecTV, for the DirecTV users, have an agreement by the time that game comes up. So until next time, this has been an episode of All In with Nate. I hope to have my voice the next time I'm doing the show with y'all. So have a good rest of your day. For y'all that's tuning in for the Jets and the Niners, good luck and have a good week. Until next time, this has been an episode of All In with Nate.